I'm Sarah, welcome back to my YouTube channel. We're going to do a bit of an August recap and we're going to look at my planned spending for September. I feel like September's a real opportunity for us to reset and to plan ahead of what is going to be a busy holiday season for most people. So I'm going to recap my August budget and look at all of my spending, and I'm going to look at my planned spending for September. Hopefully you're budgeting and you're able to go through the same process. If you've got questions about budgeting, then feel free to put them in the chat. I use a really simple budget tracker by someone called Nisha. I will link her channel in the description. I find that really useful. If I'm looking over there, it's because my laptop is there and basically it's got all of my budget on it. For August, I'm just going to break down my income, my expenditure, and I'll let you know whether or not I was within budget for all of the categories or whether I was over budget. And then we'll do the same with September in terms of my planned spending and my budget for the month of September. September can be a time where you're really starting to feel like you're getting into sort of that autumn hibernation mode, and there's lots of temptations around buying new home decor, buying new cozy outfits, buying pumpkin spice lattes, whatever it is. But you don't need to get sucked into that. You need to stick to your plan. And what I hope is that if you're just starting your budget, or if you've been budgeting for some time, that you can set yourself up in the next couple of months to be able to have positive holiday season, whatever that means for you, so that you're prepared if you've got gifts to buy, or if you're hosting, or if you're spending time with family, or if you're planning a trip abroad, that you can feel comfortable and confident doing that because you've planned and budgeted for that, and that you go into 2026 had to think then, going into 2026 full of confidence in your own ability to stay on track with your finances and not have the January blues around your spending. So September is a key month for fixing finances, for starting afresh. It's a new season, and for making sure that you stay on top of your goals and you're heading towards financial freedom. So let's have a look at my budgets. In August, this was my income. It did look a little bit different in August because I finished working for my full-time job and I was also doing some consultancy. So these numbers aren't sort of the normal numbers that I would get each month, but basically I got some money from my job, sort of 3 months worth of salary. So that's why it looks a little bit different, but let's go through it. So in income for August, I had £2,000 from consultancy work. I work for myself and I do consultancy for different businesses. I had £10,700 from my full-time job. I had £1,560 56 pence from my full-time job pension. I had sold a car. So we sold our old Fiat 500 and we basically upgraded our Fiat 500. We got rid of the old car. The money we got for that we used towards buying our family members' Fiat 500. And for that we got £3,160 and 6 pence. I then had some interest that was earned on savings, and that was £66.42. I then had some money that I found around the house that I paid into the bank. So you know when you have coins hanging around the house, and we had sort of a bowl full of change. I took that into the bank and that was £41.72. I also had a refund from the DVLA for car tax because obviously we sold our car, so I had a refund of £15. In addition to that, my husband gives me some money for things like food shopping and investments because I take care of those things. We sort of split the finances in the following way. So the proportion of his income takes care of all of our bills and the household, essentially. My income is very much focused on groceries, a couple of household bills that I pay, obviously my own personal bills, and we then use the rest of my salary for investments or for savings. And that's just the way we've always worked. I'm not going to include any of my husband's spending here. I probably should have said that at the beginning. This is just my income and my expenses, but there are some things that I contribute to for the home, which I will go through in terms of expenses. My husband gave me £600 for grocery shopping. He also gave me £350 for his part of our investments, which we do together. So in total, my income for August was £18,494. As I said, that's not a normal income for me. Some people might be thinking, oh my God, that's crazy. I don't earn that amount every month. As I said, I finished one job, I had a payout from that job, and I then obviously had consultancy work, and I sold my car. So it does look a little bit different when we have a look at September, which we'll do. Then it's on to spending. So next thing, as I said, I use the dashboard that Nisha has put together. Things are split into fundamentals, which are basically your bills, things you have to pay. Then it's future you, which is basically your investments and your savings and your additional debt payments and things like that. And then you've got the fun category, which are things that you just want: fundamentals, future you, and fun. And I really love budget spreadsheet that she's put together. I've tried a few different ones, and actually I'm thinking of coming up with my own, because even the one that I'm using that Nisha's put together doesn't quite do everything I want to do. So I am thinking of putting my own together. If you're interested in me putting something together, then let me know in the comments. I'll take you through the fundamentals first, which are my needs, and then we'll go on to future you, and we'll go on to fun spending. In the fundamentals category, so my things I have to pay for, I don't really have a choice. I don't pay rent. We rent our home. I don't pay rent. My husband pays the rent out of his salary, so that was zero. Groceries, we budgeted 600. We actually spent £717.18, so we were over in terms of groceries in the month of August. Then I have my life insurance, which was £40.60. We didn't have any car payments because we buy our cars outright, so we don't have monthly car payments, so car payments were zero. I do keep it in the budget because I have had car payments in the past, so it's just something that's part of the budget, but I could probably take it out because I don't pay a monthly car payment. Petrol, so fuel for the car, I budgeted £50. I actually spent £72.98. Minimum debt payments, I budgeted £124.68 and I spent £124.68. So this is my credit card, so I will carry a balance on my credit card. I usually try and pay it off in full at the end of every month. That's sometimes possible, it's not always possible. So this month I paid £124.68 off my credit card bill. Phone bill, £9.40. And that's pretty standard, doesn't change. I also pay for our Sky TV, that was £88.49. I also have contact lenses, glasses, which I wear, and I pay a monthly payment for my contact lenses, and that was £48. I have some travel insurance through my bank and some other perks that are part of my bank account. For that, every month I pay £22.50. And car insurance, I pay my car insurance annually, so I don't have a monthly payment, but I had to add my husband to my car insurance when we got the new car. So basically I had to pay £280.37 in car insurance. So those are my fundamentals, things that I have to pay. So in total, for my needs or my fundamentals, I spent £983.69. Then we move on to the future you category, which is basically my savings and investments and pension contributions, and also any extra debt payments. So I'll take you through those. In August, the majority of my money into savings. So of course the overpayment from my full-time job, money that we made from the car that we perhaps didn't use in the sale. So I ended up putting into savings £11,128.86. I put £650 into my investment ISA. I put £1,560.56 into my pension account. I put £740 towards our extra debt payment. I then have 3 sinking funds, and I put 3 different amounts into those sinking funds, and they are just for whatever. So holidays, gift, whatever we want to use them for, basically. I put £100 into one sinking fund, I put £1,000 into another sinking fund, and then I put £1,500 into our third sinking fund. In total, I put £16,679.42 into the future you category. Next, in August, we've got the fun category. So these are kind of wants. They're not things that are essentials or fundamentals. They're things that, entertainment, eating out, all that stuff. So I'll take you through those. Clothing, I budgeted zero. I didn't actually think I was going to buy any clothing in August, but I actually did end up buying some pieces, and I spent £71.96 on clothes in August. I bought a couple of tops from Zara, like vest tops, and one summer dress. I budgeted £100 for eating out, and I spent £218.95. So I was over budget on eating out. I think that's because we went for a really lovely Asian meal and it was quite expensive, probably a bit more than I would want to pay, but we really enjoyed it. And then we love eating out. So probably for, not for September necessarily, but for sort of October onwards, we're probably going to have to put a little bit more in the eating out category because it is one of the places that we both love to spend our money. So yeah, I was over budget with eating out by about £100. Travel, I budgeted £25. I spent £15.30. Personal care, so this is sort of any makeup, beauty care, skincare, etc. I budgeted 150 and I was over. This annoyed me so much. In August, a lot of my sort of skincare products ran out. I had been on holiday in July. I'd used a lot of product and they just all ran out at the same time. So I spent £208.19 on personal care. But as I say, I had to replenish a lot of my skincare. Subscriptions. I budgeted £30.95 for my subscriptions and I actually ended up spending £62.22. I think that was because I got ChatGPT and Canva and maybe something else for my business. So that was that. Donations. I didn't donate anything this month, so that was £0. Coffees. I'm really proud of myself here. I have been an overspender in the coffee category in the past. I budgeted £50 and I only spent £40.86. Miscellaneous. So these are things that, just little random things that I buy that don't fit neatly into any of the other categories. One of them was a tripod. My husband and I both use the tripod for work, so we split the cost of that. And my proportion of that was £84.99. And I had budgeted £100 for miscellaneous, so I was under budget. Entertainment, I budgeted £75 and I spent £75. Gym membership, I don't have a gym membership. It is just in there because I have had one in the past and I may consider doing some classes and things in the future in terms of Pilates and yoga, but I didn't spend anything on gym membership, so I budgeted £0 and I didn't have any gym membership. Gifts, I budgeted £0 and I actually forgot that I needed to buy a gift for someone's birthday, so I spent £34 on a gift. And for something else in this category, I had Botox. I had Botox in August and I budgeted £300 and I spent £295 on Botox. So in total, for the fun or my wants category, I spent £830.95. So let's recap August. My income was £18,494. My fundamentals, so my needs, were £983.69. My future you category, which is savings and investments, was £16,679.42. And my fun or my wants category was £830.95. And I ended up spending all of my income. The budget system that I use is a zero-based budgeting system. So that means every pound has a job. There's nothing left at the end of the month. So August wasn't too bad a month for me. There were a couple of areas where I went over budget, and that was things like groceries and eating out and clothing. But everything else, we were pretty much there. So not too bothered by that. It's not a problem. And I think when you get into budgeting, what you will realize is that it's about balance. So some months you'll be able to go under budget, other months you may go over budget. The whole purpose of keeping a budget is so you can stay on track and you can identify where you need to reduce your spending, where you could increase your spending, where you could reduce investments or savings, if you have debts that you need to pay off, for example. So it's not about being perfect every month. It's about being consistent with your budgeting and addressing any challenges or opportunities as they arise within you. So let's have a look at September and what I'm budgeting for that month. For September, my income looks a little bit different because I've only got my consultancy work and a couple of other things. In October, I will be making more money from my consultancy work, which is great. But for September, it's pretty steady. And my income is as follows. So from my consultancy work, it's £2,000. My husband gives me £600 for groceries. He will give me £350 for his investments. He will also give me £500 towards our credit card debts. I'm not putting anything towards my pension this month from my workplace pension because I've obviously finished in that job. I earned £140 interest from my bank accounts and my savings accounts. I haven't had any refunds and I haven't had any cash back as yet, but obviously that may change over the month of September. But the income I know I'm getting are the things that I've outlined there. So looking at this for September, my income should be £3,590. On to the fundamentals or essentials. Rent, I've budgeted zero because, as I said, I don't pay the rent. Groceries, I've budgeted 600. Should be fine with that this month. We may be a little over. What I tend to find is because we cook the majority of our meals at home, we can go over on groceries. And if we do, I'm not that bothered about it, but I have budgeted £600. That's where I'd like to be. My insurance, my life insurance is £40.62. No car payment. Petrol, I've budgeted £50. Minimum debt payments, I've budgeted £112 for my credit card. Phone bill, I've budgeted £9.40. For Sky TV, I've actually reduced our Sky package. For September, it will be £81, and then from October onwards, I think it's £75. So for this month, Sky TV is £81. Specsavers for my contact lenses, £48. My travel insurance with my bank, £22.50, and nothing for car insurance because we made that annual payment in August. So for the fundamentals category in September, I've basically budgeted £963.52. The next category is future you, so savings, investments and extra debt payoff. I've budgeted £2,000 to go into savings. £173.52 will go into investments this month. I haven't put anything in my pension because I'm leaving my job, so I'm transferring my pension over to my SIP. So from October, I'll start to pay into that. There's no contribution to my workplace pension this month. I don't plan on making any extra debt payments this month, and I'm not going to put anything into our sinking funds because I put the majority of the money in there last month because I knew that we would have some additional income to fill those sinking funds, so we don't need to put anything further into those. Next category is the fun category, so these are my wants. Clothing, I've budgeted zero again for clothing in September. I think I may need to buy a couple of things, but I'm not quite sure whether I'm going to get them in September or October, so I've put zero for that. Eating out, I've budgeted £100. Travel, I've budgeted zero. Personal care, I've budgeted £100. Subscriptions, I've added in my subscriptions here individually. I wasn't doing that in August, but I've broken them down individually so it's easier for me. So I've got the Audible app, and that is £8.99. Audible is just where you listen to audiobooks. I've got my ChatGPT subscription, which is £19.99. I've got my Experience subscription, which is my credit. It's like a credit score subscription. That's £14.99. I've got my Apple iCloud subscription. That's £8.99. I've budgeted £50 for entertainment for the month. I haven't got any gifts that I need to buy, so I've budgeted zero for gifts. I've budgeted £50 for coffee and £100 for miscellaneous. So in terms of the fun category, I've budgeted £452.96. So that's my September budget. Income will be £3,590. Fundamentals will be £963.52. My future you payments, so my investments and my savings, will be £2,173.52. And my fun category, so my wants, will be £452.96. September's a pretty quiet month for me. I don't plan on traveling or doing anything other than sort of cooking at home, spending time with friends and family, going out for coffee, maybe have a couple of meals in some restaurants, but that's pretty much it. It's kind of a reset month for me after a busy summer, and my birthday is in October, so I really want to be able to celebrate my birthday with my friends and my family and my husband, and so I'm going to put more money towards that in October's budget. So September's going to be a pretty quiet one for us. Pretty happy with August, pretty happy with where we are for September, but I really do treat September as a time to reset my finances and put me in a positive place heading into what I know are going to be more expensive months from October sort of through to December, because I have a number of birthdays, my own included. All of my family tend to have their birthdays at the end of the year and in January, so I really do need to focus on prioritizing, my budget for those occasions so that I can celebrate with people in the way that I would like to. So yeah, September tends to be a quieter month for me. I am not buying any autumn decor. I'm not buying any new knitwear. I'm not buying any luxury or designer goods. I am just focusing on cozy nights at home, cooking at home, and enjoying coffee with friends. So that's it for my August reset and my September budgeting. I hope you found this video interesting. I'm probably going to do another one at the end of the month heading into October, because that will look slightly different. As I said, lots of birthdays and various celebrations going on. But if you've got questions about the budget, let me know. I will link the budgeting spreadsheet that I use. And yeah, I hope you're having a good start to autumn and that you're in a positive place with your finances and you're heading towards financial freedom. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.